Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Piofiore 1926, continuing the Alternativa route, and today we are going to do Dante's path in the Alternativa route. I also have an obnoxious bird who lately has been deciding to be a little jerk. So, he's just like biting me, spinning me. Also, your toenails are way too freaking sharp, and like, he likes to sit on my chest, and then his toenails are digging through my shirt, and I'm like, hell is my chest all scratched up? Because someone has goddamn dagger toes and to learn how to file his toes, or let me clip them. Jerk. A zillion perches in your cage to help you file your toenails. Don't work. Anyway. Starting Dante. I decided to! Next! Return! No, stroll down the seaside. Only option we have. I rarely went to visit the seaside, so spending some time there would be really nice today. The idea of walking through Arca without any errands to run made me feel light and happy. I suppose it's thanks to the Burlone Mafia that this is possible. The town was now a lot more peaceful ever since they formed a truce. Last year was really tough. Having lived my entire life in Burlone, I felt that this change was more than welcome. Enjoying leisure time, gazing out at the bright summer sea, I felt incredibly blessed. As I was preparing to lock the church doors, Space? I turned around at the familiar voice and saw Dante standing in front of the church. I thought walking down the seaside we were going to actually, see Dante at the seaside, not at the church. I didn't hear his car pull up, but he probably had the driver drop him off further down the street as usual. Buenasera. Buenasera. Anyway, Dante, what brings you here? Buena noche, right? I can't right now for some reason. Nothing sounds right. I don't know. This was long past the time that he would come to pray, so I expected it must be something else. I just returned from Naples, and there was some business I needed to attend to. I brought you back something, and please enjoy it with Sister Sophia and the others. Huh? Thank you, Dante. Is it snacks? I accepted the box he offered to me, obviously some kind of snack. It's Baba. Baba? Well, it won't last long, perhaps only until tomorrow evening. Some type of deliciousness. A type of sponge cake soaked in a citrus rum-flavored syrup, sometimes filled with pastry cream. Not gonna lie, sounds good. This is incredible. I've always wanted to try baba from Naples. They're gonna keep giving me words, and I'm not. The accent on that, and it's not right, but... I thought you might already be asleep, so I was planning on giving it to one of the sisters. I'm glad I was able to see you here. Dante looked at me with a gentle smile. Yes, me too. I nodded in response, then suddenly smiled. Is it? I just remembered something. You mean La Nota di San Lorenzo? That was almost okay. That was almost okay! Damn! It's taken the whole route to be able to say that without having to pause to read it. Not perfect, but it was still, I gotta give myself half a gold star for that. Yes. It was only a few nights ago, but it was. Seeing him under this beautiful starry night naturally reminded me of it. I think I'm gonna remember that night for a very long time. It was only a few nights ago? I feel like I thought that was the event that we kind of ended at in the last game, and then this one is going through... Well, okay, unless it's like, oh, not the time we spent together a year ago when we did that, but this last one was just a couple days ago, but then because it doesn't map up, that her saying that, oh, it was a couple nights ago, that, you know what I mean? Because we went through January, February, March, we're going through the whole year. So she must mean that, because they keep bringing it up, but it's nothing that we went to in here, and I don't remember it being even in the, calendar. drawers when we went through the freaking card catalog that we were going through. You know what I mean? I know it was an advent calendar, but it looked like a card catalog now in my brain. Never not see that. You know? I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. I think I'm gonna remember that night for a very long time. I'm gonna forget it because I don't feel like we went. Me too. I won't be forgetting it anytime soon. You see, it sounds like it was a memory we all shared, which I feel like was last year's, not this one. And her statement, it was only a few days ago, was weird. We looked at each other a while longer. Not sure if awkward or romantic. Time passed slowly on this summer night. It was just like, I'm going to remember that. Me too. Stare at each other. Oh. Not awkward at all. Not awkward at all. And by not awkward at all, I mean absolutely fucking awkward. All right, well. Dante. I thought for a bit, then responded, how about we go stay with the Fell Zone again? And skip all of this stress. I wasn't saying this stress, but I mean skip all of this, and then stress is the title of this thing. And it just kind of came out in a natural sentence. I'm gonna skip all this stress. I wish I could skip all this stress. Just in general. I mean, it's a Monday right now. I was playing this. For a Monday, it was pretty actually okay. Didn't seem like it was going to go well, considering the fact that they like to schedule meetings that start at 7:45 on Mondays. And I'm like, well, thank God Mondays are work from home days. And also, for me, every day is a work from home day, to be fair. You know, I'm not allowed to drive. Like a year. I mean, it really hasn't, but I'm already like, and then it's September before you know it, and then it's been a year. Anyway, go to Dante's office. Oh, we care. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. We're supposed to save. I'm gonna save down here where the rest of it. Oh, this is how we get to the other ending. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, because there's probably different choices. Dante, Nicola, whatever. Go to Fell Zones, go here, go there. Probably. That's what I was thinking. But okay, so we save here, and now we go to Dante's office. Dante would be here until evening, at which point he'd go out to attend a meeting. Not that we couldn't have skipped that last, that 2 minutes. Would have been fine. The number of dinner meetings had increased quite a bit. I did want to talk to Dante. I hadn't had much of a chance to do so. I should ask if he has some free time. I stood up from my chair to go and see Dante. I knocked on his office door. Dante, do you have a moment? May I come in? There was no immediate response. After a moment of silence, understood, and come in. I opened the door with Dante's permission. He was taking a nap. Oh, he was like, fix my hair, get the drool off my chin. Inside, I found Dante sitting at his desk as usual. In front of him was a cup of cafe latte and a sugar bowl. Oh my god, we get the CG right off the bat? Stop it! He put his index finger to his lips, cheeks slightly tinted pink with embarrassment. When they panned up, I'm like, why is he blushing? I was too stunned into silence, but why is he blushing? Is he blushing because he's gonna be like, don't tell them I put tons of sugar in my cafe latte, and because he's a goddamn marshmallow? Stop it, I love it! Listen carefully, Space. I know you're trustworthy, but just in case, I must ask that you not tell the others how much sugar I add to my coffee. I need to be seen as a boss to my men. Okay, sometimes it drives me crazy at how there is just that it perpetuates in games that men are not men if they like sugary things because that is girly. How dare you? You know what I mean? That is so dumb. It really is. But and so sometimes when games perpetuate that, oh girls, they're dainty little useless wallflower. I mean, that's just the way they write the main protagonist half the time. But, like, when they're doing the, like, oh, I mean, I'm not manly if I like sugar in my coffee. The amount of sugar you like does not make you any more or less of a man, okay? Like, or a woman. Like, that is so dumb. So you're saying that women who like black coffee are manly? That's the stupidest thing ever. It is so dumb, but there are instances like this where you're like, that is like the dumbest thing to be worried over, but it's kind of cute. Like, I'll give you that. You're playing it off as kind of being adorable right now. Dumb, but still funny. It's amusing right now, so it's depends on how they present it. You know what I mean? Sometimes like, oh, well, I'm not a real man if I like sugar, and you're like, stop it, stop that right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's dumb. But like this, like, please don't tell anyone I like a lot of sugar in my coffee. That's kind of cute and adorable, and I find this amusing, so I'm not mad about it. His usual dignified expression was colored by an adorable sense of shame. That's exactly it, too. You're like, it's more the fact that you're blushing and being kind of adorable right now. But okay. Dante raised his brows with concern and quickly added, I let you in here because I trust you. I would have told anyone else to come back later. You could have just put the sugar cup in your drawer. Just saying. Dante, sweetie, if you want to hide the amount of sugar you put in your coffee, you need to have a tiny space in your drawer that you can be like, just a moment, put your sugar in the drawer, close it, and then let people in. You've got to have a sugar hiding spot. Okay? There is probably people are wondering why there's ants in his office, and it's because he's got sugar hidden all over the place and he can't remember where he put it. I did my best to suppress a smile and nod solemnly. I promise I won't tell a soul. Good to hear. He was the Falzone family boss. It was nice to see him so vulnerable sometimes. I know, that's the funnest part about Dante, is you have moments like this, like, oh, he's such a little marshmallow, he's so adorable, and I feel that way, and then it's like, yeah, and then the game reminds me he's good at slicing people up, and it's like, oh, yeah. And then he does stuff like this, and you're like, look, he's so adorable and sweet and innocent. No, he's really not. Really good at making you forget. You know, I do until I remember. I forget until I remember. That's a sentence right there. Good job, Spacey. But I mean, like, I do forget, and then every once in a while it pops back in my head. Oh, yeah, you were really good at slicing up Raoul. Right. Oh. Anyway, let's talk about how adorable you are putting like 32 lumps of sugar in your coffee. So, did you need something from me? Dante took a sip of his sugary coffee and asked me why I was here. I wanted to talk to you about when Emilio came. He brought up the 8th sacrament. Oh, gonna try it? Of course we cannot do that. At the very least, I cannot agree with any methods that disregards a human's rights. Which I find very funny from a man who kills people. I have a right to live, and you just shot me, so I'm just... But okay. Necessary evil part of his job, I guess. It's like, but again, look at that face. That's supposed to be intimidating and angry, and it is, but at the same time, we know what a marshmallow he is, so if he looks at me like that, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I just want to ruffle your little hair. So cute. This is how I die in an Otome game. Because Dante glares at me like that, and I just go over and pet him and like, look, you pat him on his head. You're just adorable! Here's some sugar packets, sweetie. Keep them in your pocket. You need it for your coffee. You responded as soon as he brought it up. I've been wanting to thank you for that. Dante took another sip, then quietly looked at me again. I know you understand this already, but of course it isn't because I don't like you. I'm one of the keepers of the grave. If it only involved myself, I might have agreed. But I didn't want to drag you into it, nor did I want you involved in the first place. That's interesting. If it was just me, I might have agreed. I mean, you have to have sex. That's the whole thing. So, like, if it was like, you have to have sex with a random person, and then he would have been like, alright, we'll figure it out. Like, okay. I'm just throwing it out there. He kept my role as the key maiden a secret so that I would be safe. I couldn't thank him enough for that. As someone whose fate's is connected to yours, I promise I will forever protect you. I can't read. Thank you, Dante. I'm grateful for your kindness. Which is why I want to do whatever I can and not just stand by as everyone else works. Dante paused for a moment. Dante? And there's something I've been thinking about. I was reluctant to share this with you since I didn't want it to be a burden, but if you really wish to help, then I hope you'll hear me out. What Dante said next was entirely unexpected. I'd like you to learn how to use a gun. You are like the only smart person in this. I feel like Gil is like, I don't want you to learn how to use a gun because I need you to rely on me so I seem manlier. You know what I mean? That's absolutely like totally Gil. And like Orlok is like, no, I'll protect you and I'll stab anyone who comes along. He doesn't use guns, so he wouldn't want us to use a gun. But I'm really surprised that like Yang wasn't like, I'm going to give you all the knives and teach you how to use them so that I can just, when I'm bored, randomly jump out of like corridors in the hallway and try to stab you. Because like this shit gets boring and Orlok's mad when I do this to him, so like need someone else to play with. You know what I mean? Like Yang and Nikolai would have expected, you know. Now, honestly, I would have expected Nicola to come up with it first. Like, can we teach her how to use a gun, maybe? And Dante would be like, whoa, no. Simmer down. You know what I mean? So I'm really surprised that he's the one that's come up with it, to be fair. I feel like he would have caved eventually and been like, all right, okay. But, like, I feel like Nicola would have been the first one to say that, and Dante would have been hesitant. And yet, only one who suggested it. Are we gonna have, like, shooting fun times with Dante? You know what I'm a little sad about? That could have been a sexy CG too. I like the embarrassed coffee one though, so. He's gonna teach us now though. Oh hell yeah, gun target practice right now. Flip the safety switch, then cock the hammer. Finally, squeeze the trigger to shoot, not at persons. Did you give me proper... Okay, you're showing me how to use a gun, but have you taught me proper gun safety first? Even small guns have a strong recoil, so you should use both hands to stabilize it. And never do it sideways like you see in the movies. That's just stupid. Dante placed his hands over mine, holding the grip as he carefully taught me the basics. See, it's that. It's his arms around us, showing us up like that. That could have been sexy. I'm just saying, it could have been a really good CG. And now then, the next is actually firing the gun. Are you afraid? Yes? In my hand was a tool that could kill. It was a frightening thought. Valid. But Dante told me back in his office, guns can kill people, but can also save them. You may find yourself in danger, so I want you to learn how to use one just in case. It's not like an unfair assessment. It's valid. You know what I mean? Like, it's dangerous, but look at the line of business we're in. Also, I'm gonna be a mafia wife. I've been a mafia wife in like all of these and nobody taught me to use a gun before. I'm just saying. Come on. What he said made total sense. Exactly. I didn't want to harm anyone, but I also wanted to protect those close to me. Of course, it's better if you never encounter a situation where you'll need to use it. I nodded in response to his concern. I understand what you're trying to say, Dante. Knowing how to use one can make a big difference. A lack of knowledge or skill could potentially limit our options in the future. Some things were helpful, even if we didn't use them often. At least, that was my hope. I pointed the gun at the target. We're just shooting targets in the courtyard. I hope we warned people. Somebody just goes running through the courtyard like, oh shit, I forgot the laundry gets shot. I'm just saying. Gotta warn people. With Dante's hand guiding me, I cocked the hammer and slowly squeezed the trigger. The recoil was stronger than I expected, but I somehow managed to keep my grip tight. So this was what it was like. Whether it was used to hurt or help depended on who was using it. I also feel like, okay, yeah. Because, like, you think cops have guns, they can use it to help people. Criminals have guns, they're using it to hurt people. We're the mafia, so, like, Dante being over here, like, you know, it could also help people. It can kill people, but we can use it to help people. Help who? help your other mafia brethren fight off other mafia family, and like, there's just no way that your version of helping with a gun is actually helping anyone but yourselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a weird place to be, like, being told by a mafia boss that this could help people. I mean, you're not a cop, dude. Like, Roberto or Marco telling me this, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But, like, Dante, I mean, I love you, sweetie, but you really need to understand your place in society. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, sure, knowing how to use the gun could absolutely help me not die. And when it's, like, us level of bad against the Phantom level of bad, yeah, okay, valid. But, like, it's still funny if you think about it. Like, we're in a weird cake of crime. Like, we're not the top tier of the crime cake. Would that be the Phantom, or is he the bottom tier? You know what I mean? It really depends on your perspective, but still. Anyway, we'll be losing light soon, so let's call it a day. Dante taught me all that he could, giving me instructions on how to operate it safely. He explained how to clean and maintain it, and even told me about the first day he got one. You're going out tonight, right, Dante? Yes, I have a meeting with the town council. Most of them are with the fascists, but I suppose that can't be helped. A new election law in their favor was enacted in recent years, meaning I need to retain some semblance of political influence however I can. I could tell by the tone of Dante's voice that he wasn't too happy about what was happening. They already have a law in place giving power to the government to control businesses and political activities within municipalities. And there's even a movement to severely limit workers' rights, forbidding unions that are not associated with the fascist party. But not all politicians are in agreement with the fascist movement. There are those who merely go along with them to preserve their own positions, which I would believe we'll be able to use to our advantage. Good luck, Dante. It must have been very difficult to work with people the way he did, especially when it came to national politics. I'll be cheering you on. I know you're the only one who can do it, Dante. Oh, but let me know if there's anything else I can help with. He chuckled and nodded. And then if I may take you up on your offer, I'd like to ask you I'd like to ask if you could wear your new dresses to any future gatherings as my guest. Of course. It'd be a waste not to wear the dresses, so I'll do whatever I can when the time comes. Seeing me answer with conviction, Dante's smile widened a bit. He's like imagining, he's like, hell yeah. Might have picked those dresses out for her, Nicola. But I'm the one that's going to be taking them off. And then that just makes me flash back to Nicola's freaking bad ending in the first game, which was not bad at all. I mean, a little wrong, but like, yeah, Nicola wants to give us all sorts of pretty dresses so we can rip them off, but that's going to be Dante. He suggested that we visit the church in Arca to speak with Sister Sophia. Let me get ready then. I quickly headed back to my room. This is odd. I picked up my shawl and got ready to step outside. One other thing. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to bring it with me. Ah, right, okay. I was like, this is interesting, because every other time we're here and then we go to Sister Sophia, but this little interlude, because we pick out our gun. My gun! Look at our little gun! It was the gun that Dante gave me in case of emergency. I'd likely not be using it, especially with Dante and Nicola accompanying me, but I'd better take it with me when I go outside. And, hi, we're showing forethought, just in case. I found a small purse where it could be hidden from sight and carefully tucked the gun inside. That's actually kind of cute. We're like, wait, let me get my shawl and my gun. Like, I came prepared. So then I started blasting. Accidentally shoots Leo. That would just be tragic. Skipping around. Kinda wanna choose to go with the wow shoe. With the fascists gaining power, it's only natural for local politicians to fall in line. But that doesn't mean they support fascism. We've confirmed that much from a few already. Nice to see things are running smoothly. Your efforts to charm them seem to have paid off. That being said, Falzone, as
seem to have lost some weight. I was looking all those boots finally taking its toll.
Damn, Yang. Dante sighed in response to Yang's smirk. Leave me alone. Let's just say I know how to properly use a carrot and stick. I also reminded them that, so long as they live in this town, they'll see the Mafia day in and day out. Fucking love Orla. Fucking Orla. Fucking Yang, like, you look skinny. You licking boots a lot. Like, what? I'd be like, thanks. They've been trying. Staying with the foul zone again. Gil's like, oh man, I was really hoping you'd come to stay with me. I did that already, though. Gil, I'm sorry. We went and saw you first, and then we went to the Lao Shu twice, and now we're with the foul zone twice, and like... I know, it does suck, Gil. You know, if Henry weren't dead and he were in this route, then Henry could have stayed with Gil, and then we could have gone to, you know, that again. We could have gone to stay with Gil. But I think that would throw, like, a little kink in the armor over here. You know what I'm saying? Because we'd be like... oh yeah, right, my church family. There you are, Space! I don't know what voice that was. A familiar member of the group called out. The boss is calling for you. He asked that you see him in his office. Really? I'll be there in just a minute. Yep, if you would, please. I got up from the sofa in the salon and headed over to Dante's office. It's funny how we're like, huh, do I think of A or B? If I think of A, Dante's gonna call me if you know what I mean? It's not a matter of what you do, it's a matter of what you think in these games, which is just disturbing if you think about it. Don't think about it, you never know what path that's gonna lead you down. Ah, too late. You're on a bad ending now. That's why you're not supposed to think. Listen, I don't know what's happening to me today. I received a request from Sister Sophia about the next provisioning. Dante began as soon as I stepped inside. Most of the sisters have returned and resumed their normal routines, but not everyone's returned, which means the provisioning will not be as large as before. Dante's words jog my memory.
Once repairs have been made, we will return to the church to resume our duties.
Sister Sophia must have been the first to return to the church. I did tell her that she didn't need to hold the provisioning so soon, although... Knowing Sister Sophia, that may perhaps have made her even more determined. Her heart's always been with those in Strano experiencing hardship. I'm sure losing the church has made her more willing to help them. Yes, and that's very similar to what Sister Sophia told me earlier. Dante gave a troubled smile, but continued with his usual seriousness. I was trying so hard not to yawn. I've thought that like 6 times. It's true they're still short on resources, so the event will be on a smaller scale than usual. The Falzone family will provide the food and security, but what are your thoughts? If you don't mind, I'd like to attend. Dante nodded, appearing to have already anticipated my response. Understood. Then I'll accompany you for safety. Huh? Are you sure? It wouldn't do to whip out your gun while you're doing the provisioning, you know what I mean? While you're helping people. You're like, hold on, here's some flour for you, Timmy. Whip out your gun. Like, you know what I mean? And don't worry about me. While I trust my men, you are in a vulnerable position. Thank you, Dante. I appreciated his concern, which made me even more determined to do my best. We busied ourselves with the preparations. Yeah, okay. A few days later, I arrived in Strano, escorted by several members of the Falzone family.
Sophia, I'll leave the pastries here. Why, thank you, Julia. It's very much appreciated. I must say, your baked goods looked as perfect as always. Space, too, is a fine baker. You certainly taught her well.
Oh my god, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Sister Sophia and Julia need to become besties and, like, go out and have tea together and shit. I mean, I doubt, like, Sophia's gonna be like, yeah, sure, girl, let's go shopping. But, like, you know what I mean? Get in, bitches! We're going shopping! But, like, she could come over to the mansion and like hang out with Julia in the kitchen and like help her bake and then like have coffee and tea and shit together, and then like Julia could go to the church. Like, you know what, they can hang out in each other's kitchens. Like there are kitchen wives. Well, that's a little weird, but you know what I mean. Like, but I do want to just see them all of a sudden on their day off. Like, look at them hanging out. Like at the little restaurant over there. What the hell? It'd be cute. I want them to be besties. Anyway.
She's been watching me bake all her life. And that being said, my cooking is no match for yours, Julia. Oh my, you're too kind. Space, something the matter?
Just a little surprised. I didn't know you two knew each other so well. It wasn't uncommon for the women of the town to develop friendships with the sisters. When it came to Julia and Sister Sophia, I was curious how they met and became acquainted. I want that backstory. Where's that side story?
We've both been living in this town a long time, haven't we, Sophia?
Oh my god, do you think they grew up together and they were kid friends? They knew each other as children?
We're both connected to the Falzone family, so I suppose we naturally became close.
If you don't mind, I'd love to hear more about it. Oh my god, me too.
Of course I don't mind, dear, but it'll be a long story. Perhaps we can save it for another time.
If you do not tell me this story at all, then this means you have to have another game so that we can get this story. And so we can not kill the Phantom and I can date him even though he's crazy. And he is like the epitome of trash. He is just awful, but he's hot. So like, whatever, I'll get over it. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. And also let me date Oliver. Okay, that was a given. I nodded with excitement as I picked up the basket of pastries. Well, I don't know why. It makes me yawn so much. The amount of food prepared for today was much less than usual.
At this rate, we may need to end a bit earlier than expected.
I'll let Dante know.
Yes, if you would, please.
I went over to Dante, who was watching us from afar. Chilling in an alley, looking like a complete and utter criminal. And not just because he's dressed like mafia, I just mean he's lurking in an alley. Like, it looks like we're almost done. Thank you very much for today, Dante. There were so many smiling faces here because of you. No, I only did what was necessary. Dante! You're Dante Falzone! A man wearing rags stood behind us as we heard his growling voice. He was glaring at us. Rather, he was glaring at Dante. You're Silvio's son! Dante looked at the man without fear. Yeah, because he's got a gun. The man's got rags. But father, if all you mobsters weren't here, I wouldn't be living my life like this. I wouldn't have lost my family. I hope you die a horrible death just like Silvio did. Wow, that is rude, man. What? I was shocked by his sudden outburst. Dante took a step forward to protect me and addressed the man. Are you not aware? The only reason you yourself didn't lose your life is because of my father's mercy. Unfortunately, I'm not as compassionate. If you choose to continue making a scene... Damn it! The man slowly backed away, intimidated by Dante. I love the fact that, like, this is our marshmallow, okay? He's, like, adorable and sweet and squishy, and then he's like, yeah, you thought that was bad? That was my dad being nice. Come at me, bro. Like, oh god damn it, Dante is gonna mess this man up. Leave now. Don't ever show yourself in front of me again. I hope all you Falzone bastards die! Not in this timeline! He spat out his last remark before stumbling away. Before I could say anything, Dante looked at me and smiled. Don't worry, I'm used to being cursed. The Mafia was respected in this town, but underneath that existed fears and grudges. I knew that some truly despised them, but after this encounter, I wondered what exactly had taken place in the life of this Strano man. That was like the weirdest place for a break. Because it wasn't like clicking the next thing. It's like, wait, we have to wait for the scene, the background to transition, and that was just an awkward pause.
Welcome back, Space.
Sister Sophia was smiling, but I could tell she was able to see right through me.
Has something happened?
Oh no, nothing. I tried to dismiss it from my thoughts, but still feeling bothered by earlier, I decided to ask her what was on my mind. Previous Falzone family boss, Silvio Falzone, what kind of a person was he? Sister Sophia and Julia looked at each other quietly upon hearing my question. What happened was, I told them about the man cursing Dante in the alley because of something to do with Silvio. Julia listened quietly, falling deep into thought until I had finished. After a short pause, she spoke.
The master was, for better or worse, born into a life of luxury. It came naturally to him to look down upon those of a lower status. If I may add, it was likely that he didn't even see those under him on the same level of human existence.
That is like the nicest way to say your boss was a douche. What about you, Julia?
I was only a maid assigned to the madam. I do believe I was treated fairly well.
Julia responded in a diplomatic manner, but I was able to read between the lines. Her relationship with Silvio was likely that of a master and a servant. It was probably nothing like the warm way that Julia and Dante got along.
Of course, I do not condemn the master for his actions. Recognizing a stark difference in status, there were many times he showed mercy to others. I believe he behaved in accordance with his own personal sense of duty.
Like, wow, Julia is, like, just nice. Julia's like, I mean, I have a lot of words to say, but I love Dante. I'm not going to say ill about his father. The man's already dead, and, like, I know who pays me. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. That's the nicest way I can put, like, what a dick. That's big. You know what I mean? Like,
and then again, Silvio was rather difficult to handle when he was in his youth.
Sister Sophia closed her eyes, remembering the old days with a smile. How old is Sophia? I mean...
But it wasn't that he was a bad person. He was as human as we all are, and very charming.
Well, Dante got that. So, other people really liked him?
Yes, he was a very amiable man who always had a smile on his face. He easily found his way into others' hearts.
Which is so funny, because he's basically a douche that everybody hates, that is, like, just, like... I am the master, you are my servant. Like, treats kind of other people like garbage, but yet is also, like, I guess in his own social circle, everybody likes him, and Dante is more like, not gonna treat other people like my maids, or my men, or like Julia, or anybody like garbage, because that's douchey. And also, don't know how to talk to people, and everybody's afraid of me. But he's like the biggest marshmallow, but everyone's like, yeah, no, talk to him. It's really kind of funny. We were, like, so vastly different.
I still remember many of our conversations. He had a sharp mind and took care of his family. Regardless, Silvio was certainly a mafia boss in every sense. I'm sure most who knew him would say that Silvio Falzone was a harsh and cold-hearted man.
But that's it, he's harsh and cold-hearted, but, like, but is a charmer. You know what I mean? You're like, you are absolute evil, but you're charming. Charming like Gil, but Gil actually has a heart. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, Dante looks cold, calculating, and heartless, but he's actually like just the biggest softie on the inside. Pretty fun. Sister Sophia had taught me since childhood that the Mafia was a dangerous criminal organization. She also seemed to see other sides to them. The good, the bad, and everything in between. It was likely she knew them better than I did. Not at some point you're gonna know Dante way better than she's ever gonna know him. You know what I'm saying? Oh my god, that's so wrong. The day after the provisioning, I was with Dante down at the wharf. It'll be a while before the ship arrives. Why don't we take a walk in the meantime? Sure. Dante had come to inspect an important load that was supposed to arrive today. I gladly accepted his offer to stroll around the area while we waited. Do you come down here often, Dante? Only when I'm looking for a date. I mean, no. I'm just kidding. If the wharf was the place to pick up dates like that, Nicola and Gil would be here. No, very rarely unless it's for work. A single seagull alighted in front of us as we walked along the shore. Seagull stood in the road, walking on foot as if trying to block our way. Don't tell me you're afraid of birds, Dante. Oh dear God. Dante? I suggest we take a step back. Huh? Oh no. From the looks of things, it seemed that Dante was trying to protect me from the seagull. He's like, step back. This government drone. It's here to spy on us. Birds aren't real. I say that because my government drone follows me everywhere and is sleeping on my chest right now. I'm petting him with my neck. Like I'm literally like turning my head and just rubbing my chin against him and petting him. Is there a problem? The curiosity was unbearable, right? Me too. Dante, are you afraid of birds by chance? Okay, I'm sorry. That is what you should hide from people, that you were afraid of birds. Dante turned around and looked at me for a while in awkward silence. It's not like an ostrich or an emu or like, you know, a giant friggin' like the velociraptors that live near my mom. What are they? I forget what they're called. But they're just like giant crane type things. But they're like friggin' like 5 feet tall. Like those things are huge. I understand being scared of birds like that, but like a seagull? The only thing you should be afraid about with a seagull is it's gonna steal your french fries. Like, you know what I mean? That shit, they will steal your shit. But like, come on. Dante turned around and looked at me for a while in awkward silence. I am. Oh, stop it! Oh, no! Okay. I really want our last CG of Dante just to be him, like, just scared and a childlike terror in his eyes with a bird near him. I want to torment the poor man. I was surprised that he was so open about it. Really? But they're so cute. That thing there is cute. I agree that cats are cute, but birds? Birds? What is it about them? Everything. The way they bob their heads when they walk, the shape of their feet. I can't read this with a straight face. I'm gonna die. Guys, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Trying to read this and it's outrage, but it's just so funny. Oh my god. I've disrupted my bird as somebody who loves birds, who's a bird person. This is so freaking funny. I can't. I just want to read the whole sentence, the whole thing in one, like, go, but I can't. I'm gonna crack up laughing every line I read. Oh my god. Everything. The way they bob their heads when they walk, the shape of their feet, their beaks and how their eyes twitch. I don't like them. I see. Even though I didn't feel the same way, it was clear to me that he was very uncomfortable. Soon enough, the seagull spread open its wings and flew up into the sky. I just love that we got this, and this is just a random Dante fact, that he is scared of birds. Dante breathed a heavy sigh of relief, and after a short pause, I asked, "Have you always disliked birds?" Oh, look. Dante frowned as he began to explain. Oh my god, one stole a chip from him. Back in my youth, I may have been around 7 years old, I accompanied my father to the wharf. One of the other soldiers knew it was my first time there and bought me a focaccia. He suggested that I break it into pieces to feed the birds. At first I was having fun looking at the birds as they picked up the pieces, but soon a flock of them began to swarm and completely surrounded me. In the end, there were easily more of them than I could feed, but they didn't stop pestering me. Even after I ran out of food, they were relentless and continued to pursue me. Dante just has traumatic dreams of being chased by seagulls. I mean, I can understand a giant flock of birds. Like, you know, you're like, ah! Like, yeah, that could be a little overwhelming, especially for a child, but it's still funny. I inadvertently aggravated them by trying to wave them away, and they responded by attacking. He spoke in a fatigued voice, worn down by the memory. I remember it like it was yesterday. Nicola was laughing to no end. Nicola and I are the same here. Didn't speak to him for a while after. I knew how frightened he must have been. But the thought of him as a child was so adorable, I couldn't help but smile. Poor Dante. Dante, that has to hurt your man pride more than liking sugary coffee. That I can understand if you were like, I'm afraid of birds, and I like 14 pounds of sugar in my coffee. And my underwear are pink. Then maybe that would be questionable. I'm just, Dante pouted a little and looked away from me with a hint of frustration. I just love what a goddamn marshmallow he is. I'd stumbled upon a rare opportunity to learn Dante's weakness. No, you can't take him down with guns or knives. It burns. Trust me. Just get a canary in a cage. Oh my god, he'll sing like a canary if you bring in a canary. What do we gotta do, boss? We gotta take and bust his kneecaps? No. But you get him to sing like a canary. Bring a canary into the room. Oh my good lord. He must have kept it a secret because he's the Foul Zone boss. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good for a mafia boss to like sweets. It wouldn't fit the image of a man of honor. I mean, again, that's stupid. But also saying that you're afraid of birds, okay, maybe you want to keep that one quiet. The fact that he was so honest with me when he used to keep things hidden, does he trust me a bit more now? I love the fact that he does trust us enough to tell us this, but also that he tells us the goofyish things. I hope that was the case. I apologized to Dante for smiling and explained myself as we walked along the shore. I'm sorry, just you being attacked by birds is cute. It was late at night. Okay, never mind. I was like, alright, I'm like, is this where we can skip? Yes. Every time I see this background, I'm like, this is freaking when Yang shows up. And we're like, why? And he's like, I don't know. So Orlok, I have no idea why he's here. Just followed me. He's over there like, I ain't gonna break some shit. We'll be skipping a lot now. Dante's might actually take a little bit, longer, because we're not even to chapter 4. So, we've laughed a lot through it, so Dante's might take a little bit more than an hour. Because we don't even have 15 minutes, and I highly doubt we're going to be skipping a lot, but it's fine. Unless we got a lot of skipping here, but I feel like we get some other scenes. Maybe not in chapter 3 here, but in chapter 4, and we'll just go over, so this will be a long part. I don't want to cut this in 2 parts. Editing me might have to jump in if for some reason this goes to close to 2, you know what I mean? But I wasn't prepared for this to go, you know what I mean? I was like, it'll be a little over an hour, but I mean, well, the thing is, we only have one other Dante kind of choice. But that means nothing, because that scene could be 2 minutes, or it could be 20 for all we know. That Nicholas scene where we talked to him was forever when he was telling us his past, so. Emilio! Just in case you missed it. I heard missed it, but it was Emilio. Games. Oh, right. The Phantom doing crazy shit. Okay, him feeding that child to a pig was just disturbing, and that's a huge negative for him. I still get to go outside. I'm happy that I still get to step outside every so often. Dante had been inviting me out whenever possible. Sometimes he would just take me out for a breath of fresh air, and sometimes he'd take me to dinner parties. I even get to dress up for the parties, too. I'd never have imagined living like this.
Yes, young Dante rarely has a lady accompany him to these gatherings. But it doesn't leave a good impression going to such events by himself. Parties, especially the ones he takes you to, often expect guests to bring their partners.
In that case, I'm glad I can be of some help to Dante, even though I still get nervous attending them. They're it doesn't do good for him to show up without a lady on his arm, even if it was a different one every time. I mean, seriously? We whiled away the time with a pleasant chat until the crostata was baked to perfection. I'm feeling we go straight into Dante, so. The next day, I was with Dante at a restaurant for lunch. Dante invited me out as a showing of thanks for being his guest at the recent gatherings. Ah, Signor Falzone! The moment we entered, a gentleman I didn't know approached Dante. What a coincidence! Are you here for lunch? Gentleman was accompanied by a refined lady with a delicate smile. Space, may I present the Routini? I'm assuming it's the Routinis? Routini is like singular. Or is that Routini is plural and singular? Ooh. Pleased to meet you. Well, well, what a lovely signorina. I recognized Signor Routini's name. He was one of the members of the town council. We must have been brought here at precisely the same time to enjoy a meal together. Come, no, dear, we mustn't bother the young ones. Ah, quite so. My apologies. Signor Routini smiled bashfully as Signorina Routini jokingly rebuked him. Signora. Then, Signor, I look forward to our dinner meeting next week. Yes, I look forward to seeing you there. Oh, you're gonna see him there all over the place. Oh, well, no, they get murdered at their house, right? With that, a member of the staff came forward to seat us, and I turned to Dante as we walked. This is sad now, knowing what happens to them. Oh. The Routinis are so nice. Councilor Routini was born and raised here, so he doesn't have a bias against the Mafia as others might. In other words, he's very important to the Falzone and the Burlone Mafia in general. Oh, Dante. I'd seen Dante busy strengthening connections with politicians and other powerful figures, which is why I trusted Dante fully. I believed in him from the bottom of my heart. After lunch, we left the restaurant. Suddenly, ah! I turned toward the sound and saw a young girl crying alone. I quickly walked over to her and crouched down to talk to her face to face. What's the matter? Are you hurt?
My balloon flew away.
I looked in the direction where she looked. A red balloon was stuck on a branch of a tree. That's pretty high. Maybe I can reach it. Just as I was about to walk over, Dante quickly reached up and held the string of the balloon. Man, he's tall. He then crouched down and returned the balloon back to the girl. Hold on to it carefully. The girl blinked a few times, staring at Dante.
Grazie, signor. Oh, my name is Lisa. What's yours, signor?
Dante.
Dante. I like that name. I want to marry you, Dante.
Oh my god, in my brain she was like, I like that name, and I was like, if she asks to marry him, I swear to god I'm out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna marry you someday, you know, like a little kid thing. I just fully expected that to happen, so I'm not really surprised here, but it's funny. Dante's like, you're a little young for me. The young girl's cheeks turned red and her eyes sparkled with joy. I mean, the man's handsome, so I get it. Grazie, signorina. Dante gently held the young girl's hand with a serious expression. I'm very flattered by your kind offer, but for now, I cannot give you an answer. Once you become an adult, if your feelings haven't changed, come and see me. I'll be waiting. My god, Dante! Like,
okay, I love you, Dante.
The young girl blushed even harder and held tightly to the balloon string before running off. Could you just imagine? Okay, in the future, like, she's like 6. So, like, 12 years later, you and Dante are happily out in the front yard playing with your kids, and this girl walks up like, I never forgot you saving my balloon. I'm here to marry you. And he's like, awkward. Who are you? Lisa, right. Oh, yeah. Girl, I thought you'd have forgotten that in a week. It was so sweet of you, Dante. I was so enchanted by the scene, but Dante shifted his eyes away with embarrassment. Look at him blushing! Aw. It was nothing special. He didn't dismiss her feelings just because she was a child, but responded to them sincerely. I was sure that this was a memory she would hold dear. The day she met her very first love. Oh. That's so cute. The following day, I was reading a book in my room when, well, I guess we're getting another Dante. Someone knocked on the door. I set the book down and went to open it. Leo, is something the matter?
Your friend Elena's here to visit you.
Elena?
The boss said that you'd probably like to see her, so he told me to come get you.
Thank you, I'll be right there. I was a bit surprised, but I quickly got ready and headed down to the salon with Leo. Elena! It's Niece! Elena smiled brightly as soon as she saw me appear. I also noticed that Dante and Marco were in the salon as well. Has something bad happened?
I just came to see Dante, but it's about time I get going.
I actually just arrived. The Sister Sophia asked me to bring this to you. It's a letter thanking you for helping with the last provisioning. Elena held up her bag, then snuck a peek at Dante. She was acting a bit strange today. At the very least, I could tell she was tense. It didn't seem like she was afraid to be around a mafia boss, but she was nervous all the same. Grazie, signorina. You must have many things to discuss, so I hope you'll stay for some coffee. Dante gave a polite nod, then turned to look at me. Huh? Thank you very much, signor.
Let me go and let Julia know. I'll be right back.
Leo smiled and rushed off to the kitchen. I'm sorry, I want Elena and Leo to fall in love. I love Leo, but he's like my child. I just want to protect him, and I feel like him and Elena could be cute together. Julia had prepared for us some cannoli filled with ricotta cheese, along with some cafe latte for everyone, persuading Marco to stay. This is an odd bunch, isn't it? We enjoyed a casual conversation over the delicious refreshments. I was relieved to hear from Elena that everyone at the church was fine, and that the children were doing well. Just as our conversation was nearing an end,
I have to say, you two have really grown up, haven't you?
Marco gazed at me and Elena with caring eyes.
I remember Spacey and Elena as kids like it was only yesterday.
It probably was.
But look at you two now, all grown up and helping Sophia.
It's been quite a few years, Marco. We had to grow up sometime.
Yeah, I know that's life and all, but still remember how much you cried when you two got lost? The memories always stick with me.
Lost? Oh, I remember that. It was back when the sisters took us all out to the plaza to play. On the way back, we both stopped in front of a shop, and before we knew it, everyone else had left without us. We didn't know our way around town back then, so we never went far from the church, so we had no idea how to return. We both held hands and wandered the town. I was so frightened back then. You have a good memory, Elena. You're like, I just block out everything, unlike Dante, who's over there thinking about his most terrifying memory, which is feeding frickin' seagulls. Elena smiled and nodded. I remember feeling so desperate to get back. You don't remember? You started crying after that. I tried to recall the memory, but I don't remember at all. I think I was so scared that I forgot the whole thing. Look, said Dante, you would do well to forget that whole, pigeon incident. Seagulls, whatever. My brain just wants to keep saying pigeons. Look, Dante, you could be afraid of seagulls, but, other birds are probably fine. I was really scared, too, but I thought to myself that I needed to do better since you cried before I could. I told myself that I was a year older than you, so I needed to protect you. Elena. I'd always known that she was watching over me since I was little, but this reminded me again of how much she cared. I'm glad they reminded me of this story. Dante was quiet all the while, then asked in a slightly worried tone. There were no birds, were there? I'm just kidding. So, did everything turn out all right? Look, he does look concerned. He's thinking about the birds in the back of his mind.
Yeah, somehow. If you don't count Sophia going so pale she nearly collapsed. I ran all over the place until I found them walking through an alley near the church.
I remember. You looked like a knight in shining armor back then, Marco.
Hey, what about now?
Everyone was laughing just as Julia came back into the salon.
It's good to see everyone having a good time. And perhaps more cafe latte for everyone.
Thank you, Julia.
The Fratello is just about ready, so if you can all just wait a little bit longer.
Oh, let me help. Just as I stood up to help her.
Elena's here, so why don't you just enjoy yourselves?
Marco held up a hand to stop me as he stood up from the sofa himself.
Let me help you, Julia.
Oh my, are you sure, Marco? If you really don't mind, then. I sat back down as I watched Julia and Marco head to the kitchen. I didn't know Julia and Marco were that close. Oh my god, we need backstories on Julia just knows everyone. While I was surprised at first, it made sense. Marco had been close to the Falzone family for years, so they probably knew each other since then. Then, I suddenly thought of a new topic to discuss. I'd love to hear about your childhood, Dante. Please? Me too. If you don't mind, I'd love to hear about it too. Signor Falzone, you must have been a beautiful child even back then. Dante looked slightly perplexed as he saw her eyes glimmer with expectation. He's like, a beautiful child? What? I'm not sure. I couldn't say myself. I'm sure there's a photograph somewhere. Oh, we've seen it. We've seen it. Huh? Can we see it? I'd like to see it too! We can't see that! He only has one other CG. Alright, I'll have a look around. Dante seemed to regret mentioning it all, but he stood up to go and look for it anyway. That one looked like it was gold, like we already done this one, but we can't have, yeah.
Marco, you must be so busy these days. Are you sure it's all right for you to stay here to help?
Huh? Yeah, it's fine.
You've done so much for the Falzone family all these years. Which is why I also understand that your position with the police is precarious.
Position with the police is precarious, well.
I do hope you're not carrying that incident with you.
There's still a debt I can never repay. One that I owe to Silvio Falzone. I was friends with Silvio, or at least I saw it that way. Our relationship changed, though. Can't remember if it was 15 or 16 years ago, when Dante and Nicola were kidnapped. Silvio contacted me for help, but I declined. Falzone family kept their bloodline pure. Out of the family, Silvio likewise kept to that stance above all else. So it was obvious that he was planning on giving the boss's seat to his son Dante. Back then, there was some dissent within the Falzone regarding the concepts of blood purity. Dante and Nicola's abduction was assumed to be the work of some unrelated ruffian, and I'm sure those who resented Silvio were also involved in some way. In addition to kidnapping the kids back then, they abducted my wife, too. Didn't take long for them to contact me with a warning not to get involved. Oh, I was like, why would you not help someone find their kids? You're a cop. That's why. Which is why I couldn't do a damn thing. May as well have left the kids for dead. In the end, Dante and Nicola were saved. Silvio's men also saved my wife without any issues. He did that even though I refused his sincere request for help. What right did I have to keep seeing Silvio? Stopped contacting him to meet up, and gradually we parted ways. That's really sad, because, like, if you think about it, Silvio would understand if you were like, they told me not to get involved, and I couldn't tell you, and that's why I didn't help you. Because they would have killed my wife, and you would have gotten your kids back. But, like, you know what I mean? At the same time, it's like, but Marco, you didn't have faith that Silvio was going to do everything in his power to get his child back. You were just like, I won't get involved, and, like, you didn't think that if they killed the kids, they'd kill your wife too? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of look at this like, I'd have put my faith in Silvio, Marco. Like, I understand the situation he was in. It was stressful and whatever, and he made the wrong choice, but, like, you should trust the mafia boss to get your freaking wife back. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of sad. Silvio used to call me over no matter what I was doing or how busy I was. It was around then that he stopped contacting me, too. My relationship with Silvio deteriorated. In turn, I made sure I did what I could for the Falzone family, even more than before. I would turn a blind eye to what his men did and erase any problems of theirs that came my way. Of course, my favoritism toward them put me in hot water with my superiors. For a while after the abduction, my wife passed away from a terminal illness. Aww. Yeah, we're definitely over time, but... I just don't want to, like... I don't know, we'll see. Nothing you need to worry about, Julia. I look out for the Falzone because it's what I want to do. That ain't gonna change till the day I die. Upon Silvio's death, his son Dante became the new head of the Falzone family. Around then that I started coming in and out of this place again. Not that I'm doing it all for Silvio, but I just want to be here to help them however I can.
Will you tell young Dante and young Nicola about what happened? I may dote on them, but they're adults now.
That's not gonna happen. It's between me and Silvio, and it's a fact that I turned my back on them once before.
Marco.
Too ashamed to tell them this sob story. I'm gonna take it to the grave. I hope you understand, Julia.
Of course, I understand.
Aww. Dante seemed to regret mentioning it all, but he stood up to go and look for it anyway. Soon after, Dante returned with pictures of him and Nicola in their youth. Oh my god! I couldn't contain our excitement even after the freshly made frittelle was served. I'm sorry, but I want to see those. I'll see you again, Space. Of course. Be careful, Elena.
Don't worry, I'll make sure Elena gets back safely.
Thank you, Marco. I waved at them until they disappeared from sight, and my hands slowly came down. Thank you very much for today, Dante. I looked up and expressed my thanks to Dante, who was standing next to me. I had so much fun being able to spend the afternoon with Elena. I see. Dante smiled as he nodded, but his response sounded a bit distracted. There's a bird in a tree, that's why. Is something the matter? I didn't mention this earlier, but I got lost as a child once before, too. Really? That's so surprising. It didn't take long for my men to find me. I went to a festival when I was younger and got separated from the others while wandering around on my own. Oh, this is totally different than the kidnapping. Dante looked slightly embarrassed as he told me about it. I looked at him and smiled. Thank you for sharing that with me. If you don't mind, I'd love to hear more stories about those times. I doubt my childhood stories are very interesting. I bet I can get more stories about Dante from Nicola. Space, were you thinking of something diabolical just now? Whoa! I'd say diabolical is a strong word. Dante and I walked back into the manor as I avoided his question. Okay, let's see. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna let this skip. We're gonna see if we get other scenes. I am going to take the bird for a tiny potty break as we're skipping through. I'm gonna let you go. Here you go. You gotta go? Good boy. You gonna come back? You're gonna have to fly, buddy. He's like, I can't lean over far enough to get him, and he's just like leaning toward me, and I can't see him, and he's like, move your hand closer, woman. It's like fly the 2 inches, bird Jesus. Lazy ass. I know, it's a little dark up here right now, huh? A little dark. Alright, go into the library. I mean, I have a feeling, like, we're only like, what, 5? Like 7 minutes overtime, but whatever. But we're gonna walk away with Gil. We're gonna run into this dude here. Do what you feel is right. I believe that my thing just did that on its own. Excuse me. I believe that you should do what you think is right. Only you can decide what will make you happy. You have the freedom to choose. Okay, that was it. Emilio situation, and then we're basically it. So then we have like the little bit of to be honest, no, because then we gotta go to wherever the hell we're going with Dante. This might be a longer part. We've had several parts in this that are like 120 minutes. An hour and 20 minutes. So, you know what? Screw it. Because the only thing is like editing me could go through and edit it into 2 parts, but like, whatever. I think we can do it. It'll be fine. It's fine. Whatever. This part's gonna be long. I mean, the other ones went a little over an hour, but I don't think that much. But I'm just gonna guess then, like, because it's Dante, you had a little bit more. Plus, we did talk for quite a bit, laughing so very hard about the birds. Counselor Rutini, yes, and the couple that you met before. Come now, dear, we mustn't bother the young ones. Ah, quite so. My apologies. We had run into Signora and Signora Rutini at the restaurant. Wait. Yeah. See, now we know. Oh, that's sad. Oh, well. Not the direttore. You must come to Venice, where I spent my years until my full recovery. Those days were quite boring, but it was precisely what I needed to heal my wounds. You'll find it to be a lovely place. And that makes sense because we went to Venice with Dante there in the first game, or in his right here. I mean, we ended up going there, you know. The record ended there, and a silence hung over the room. The first to speak was Orlok. I don't want her to go, but we don't know what trap he has set up for her. But we need the 11th record to find him. Of course we'll have to do what we can to ensure safety.
Oh, what'll we do? If we're all absent from town at the same time, I may return to filling the town as nothing more than a pile of corpses.
Yang is starting to turn into the Phantom right now. Good lord. Dante spoke in a firm voice. I'll go. Are you sure, Dante? Yes, I have an excellent underboss. I'm sure Nicola will be able to manage the family while I'm gone. You always find a way to keep me busy, boss. Well, I'll try to live up to your expectations. Nicola nodded with a troubled smile. And so it was decided that Dante and I would travel to Venice together. It was about half a day's journey to Venice. First, we drove by car from Boulogne to Rome. Next, we went by train to Venice. As usual, the train's departure was delayed, so it was night before we arrived in Venice. We booked a hotel to stay for the night, and the following day we immediately began our search. This is the background that we've seen before. That bird? Do you hear the bird? Hi. So this is the City of Water. Venice was the beautiful capital of Veneto, a region located in the northeast. It was also called the Queen of the Adriatic. The delay yesterday made our journey longer, but were you able to sleep well last night? Yes, I did. I'm well rested and ready. Upon hearing my response, Dante nodded firmly. We already had the address of the elderly couple who cared for the Phantom while he had amnesia, but we had no idea to whom the Phantom would have given the record for safekeeping. Sending someone ahead of us to investigate would have led to the record's destruction. We had no other choice but to come to Venice and begin the search ourselves. As expected, the elderly couple's mansion was still in ruins from the fire. We spoke with nearby residents who were under the impression that it was the work of a burglar. I gazed at the site where only tiles and stone lay in the midst of charred rubble when a man wearing rags appeared nearby. He stared at us for a moment, then his eyes rounded with recognition. You're... The man hurried over, shoving a glass case into my hands with the record inside. Here, it's yours! Now leave me alone, please! And with that, the man quickly ran off and disappeared from sight. I doubt he knows anything beyond the delivery. I agree. I nodded in response. So this is the 11th record. Dante took out his pocket watch and checked the time before returning to face me in the fact that the man's got a pocket watch. That's sexy. It's unlikely we'll be able to get back to Boulogne before nightfall. That was the epitome of fashion back in your pocket watch. We would need to reserve a room regardless, so do you mind if we stay here one more night? Not at all. Thank you, Dante. We have some time until our departure tomorrow morning, so why don't we have a tour of the city? We weren't able to do so last night. Tour? I felt conflicted since the reason for our visit had left me feeling somewhat downcast. We have accomplished what we set out to do here. A short tour would help lift our spirits. Since we've come all the way to Venice, perhaps we can look for something to bring back for the others. I think that'd be really nice, Dante. At his suggestion, I felt the heavy cloud in my heart lifting, making the city seem brighter. I appreciated that Dante was thinking of me, which I could tell came from kindness. Let's see. Why don't we first go to a restaurant near the Ponte di Rialto? I'd love to. Dante and I began making our way to the famous White Stone Bridge. Our lunch at the restaurant was delicious. We sat inside with a view of the bridge, which was illuminated by sunlight over the Grand Canal. Afterwards, we stopped for a moment at a souvenir shop on our way back to the hotel. Look at these beautiful Vetro di Murano trinkets. Glass trinkets made in Venice, the capital of Veneto, also known as Venetian glass. Venetian? As I gasped seeing how beautiful they were, Dante took a glance inside the shop. I think this would look nice on you. Dante pointed to a Piofiore pendant adorned with a white flower pattern. Fiore, I can get, but the rest of it I can't. If you don't mind, I'd like to buy it for you. For me? But we better be wearing that in the NCG is all I'm saying. Don't worry. And consider it a thank you gift for all you've done for us. I'd be happy if you'd accept it. Thank you, Dante. Absolutely. Anything you buy me. Dante smiled and then went to speak to the staff to get the pendant wrapped. It was then that I noticed a lavish mask displayed in the corner of a shelf. As I looked at it, another staff member approached me in a friendly manner. Isn't it a beauty? Yes, it really is quite elegant. Here in Venice, we have a special carnival held every year with hundreds of years of history. You mean the Carnival di Venezia? Venezia? Venezia. A lively celebration held prior to the 40-day observance of Lent when many abstained from meat. Yes, it was once a very lavish festival where people wore masks and paraded through the city. That sounds like a grand old time. Nowadays, you'll only find it celebrated at private balls. Oh, not as fun. This one comes from a studio where the art of crafting masks is passed down through generations. So it was made by a skilled artisan. I used to make masks. You know, like plastic ones, not fancy-ass beautiful ones, but unfortunately this last one isn't for sale. We've only have it displayed here as decoration. This is the last one? The craftsman who made this passed away last year. It's a tragedy in more ways than one. What do you mean? Oh my god, do you think it's like... I was wondering... I'm like, it's gotta be tied to the Phantom, but like, do you think it's like the old man who adopted him? Ah, how should I say this? It was a rather violent passing. The police suspected he might have been attacked by feral dogs. The strangest part was that only a chunk of his chest was missing. I'm afraid it's quite a gruesome story for a decoration. Or the Phantom stabbed him? After leaving the gift shop with Dante, he slowly began to speak. The Phantom wears a mask. Yes. It was one of the key items he wore when he was managing that speakeasy in Chicago. And the body with the mangled chest reminded me of what the Phantom said before. There's something that's been bothering me. I always assumed that humans would not die if a pound of flesh was shaved away from them. Shylock is quite the fool for employing such a roundabout method with Antonio. Otherwise, perhaps he did not desire to kill him in full. These thoughts were running through my mind as I conducted an experiment of my own. The result, you ask? Why, death, of course. I can confirm that unless the victim is lucky, no intervention will save them from death. The carn in carnival means meat. To remove meat likely derived from the practice of abstaining from meat during Lent. And we're here in Venice, the setting in The Merchant of Venice. If so, the Phantom's plan had been in motion for a long time. The murders we've learned of were only the tip of the iceberg. The thought weighed on my mind. With the record in hand, we departed Venice first thing in the morning. We journeyed back by train to Rome, then by car to Boulogne. And now... I mean, technically, like, everyone was gathered in a hotel for our meeting. That was much faster than I expected. Seems the person who had the record was already informed of her appearance. Had we attempted the search without her, we wouldn't have found it so quickly. I stared at the record in my hand for a moment. This record should have the location of the Phantom's workshop. Yes, let's hear what's inside. As the record began to spin, the gentle sound of the needle running over its surface filled the room. Poetic. There's that little static record. While I do appreciate their tireless nurturing, which led to the birth of the Phantom, I still cannot understand why they would do so. Being a good Samaritan will not in itself yield a reward. It was in the spirit of charity and compassion that they saved my life, but as a result, so many others lost theirs. Would they consider this tragedy worth the sacrifice and self-approbation? Ah, what a pity. Ignorance is not bliss after all. Like a rough way to talk about the people that adopted you, but again, they're thinking they're adopting somebody who lost their memory and had been horribly burned and not realizing that he was a psychopath. But anyway, I mean, I was thinking to myself, like, as I was going to say before I finished that, was like, well, normally, like, oh, we've gone an hour and 20 minutes. It's probably going to be an hour and a half. And we very well could have cut it into 2 parts, but it is what it is. There's no point, because I'm not going to go back and be like, Look, I'm lazy and I don't want to edit. I don't want to go and be like, okay, hi, I'm going to end and cut the part off, blah, blah, blah. And then have to explain that and then tell you, like, oh, ignore me in the end of this being like, maybe I'll cut it. You know what I mean? Oh, Oliver! Because, like, it'll be like another 5 minutes or so, plus then talking at the end, but like, whatever. We're going to be here for max another 10 minutes, so screw it. Oh, look at our lovely, crazy bastard Phantom. I love him. It's because he's fabulous. As a person, he is horrible. He is the worst. He's worse than Yang, which is saying something. But, goddamn, they made him glorious. You know what I mean? He's crazy. And actually, I'm not 100% sure. I want to be like, we could fix him. I don't think we could fix him. I really don't. I don't think there's any fixing him. You know, Yang at least has somewhat of a conscience. You know what I mean? A little bit. Not much, but... As we suspected, we found the Iron Crown where we obtained the last record, in Venice. And the man who gave us the record appeared very frightened when we saw him. I had my men go up to Venice to investigate when they confirmed the Phantom himself had threatened the man to hold on to the record. But I had my doubts that he made the long trip for only one purpose, so my men continued their investigation. And they discovered the Iron Crown buried at the site where the elderly couple's manor once stood. Makes absolute sense. I'll be heading to Rome as soon as this meeting's adjourned, and the Iron Crown will be transferred to me at Roma Termini, and then I'll head straight to the church from there. And then that's it, and it ends happily ever after, and then we get to be Dante and try to read that godforsaken white text on a gray background. I'm gonna just turn our music off because, oh, that's the only problem too. We have to sit here through the damn credits for the 37th. Oh, stop it! Oh, never gonna stop complaining about that, but fun times. We only have one more thing to do. I mean, we got to do his ending, but then we also have to do the New Year ending. Oh, is this gonna be our friendship ending? The little title thing on this section of the guide for this is like, oh, a picture of Gilbert, whatever, and this is a picture of us and Elena. Oh, I wonder if that's the CG we get at this. Anyway, we'll do that in the next part, but we just gotta wait for the credits to go. This is what takes so long. We could have been like looking at the CG. We could have been halfway through Dante's end to end, but we have to wait 6 hours for the credits. I'm literally hitting every single button on my controller. Is there a button that magically stops them? It's really just because I don't have enough thoughts to fill the space in between, and we've seen them 47 times. So again, and it's okay, and then no, it's my TV. I appreciate that they're listen, these people put a lot of time and effort into this game. You will look at these credits. I get that, but that's why when they do it the first time, you're like, okay, cool. You have to sit through it. And I almost can understand at the end of every route, kind of, because, then you've spent the last 10, 12 hours reading it, right? I mean, for me. But, you've spent hours reading it. This is, there is not, you have to go through this route so many times, and if you just kind of read and you weren't doing like me, where you're talking through whatever, it's not going to take, and then, every 20 minutes you got to watch the credits all over again? That's kind of bullshit. Seriously? Come on. That's cold, yo. The first time in this ending, fine, can't skip them. The rest of them you should be able to skip. It'd be seriously not being able to skip the common stuff. Thank God this is the only person that makes sense. It's a dark gray background, and I can actually see that. It's because we're inside, but we're going to go back outside, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. Anyway. Although Christmas somehow came and went peacefully, my workload hadn't changed much. The Falzone family still received social invitations from local dignitaries during the holiday season. The guest list of tonight's party was as grand as the event itself, with many traveling from outside of Berlin to attend. Oh my god, we're going to get to see Dante, we saw Yang in the suit. It's going to be the same event, probably. And we will get to see Dante in something other than his normal work attire that he wears all the time. And I hope we see the necklace he bought us. I'm just saying. I checked the time before leaving my office. Isn't it? Space, it's about time. May I come in? Absolutely! I turned the handle and opened the door. Are you ready to go? Yes, I'm just about done getting ready. And Space was looking in the mirror as she adjusted her hair accessory. And that dress looks wonderful on you. You look especially beautiful tonight. Thank you, Dante. I saw Space's cheeks flush slightly in response. I'm sorry you always need to buy me a new dress each time. You were the one doing me a favor by accompanying me to these events, and this is the least I can do for you. I meant what I said to Space, but truthfully, I had my own personal reasons. I've discovered how fun it is to dress her. Again, I like picking out my own clothes, but there is a part of me who likes dressing myself that is slightly turned on by this, so I'm here for it. It's fun to see how these clothes and accessories enhance her beauty in different ways. It's also it's oddly satisfying. It's oddly satisfying that a man finds it oddly satisfying to dress me up. I'm just saying. Naturally, I could never speak of this feeling to her, and so I kept my thoughts to myself. Signorina, your hand. She blushed again as she smiled, taking the hand I offered her. Space was nervous as we ran around to greet the other guests, and afterwards breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you for coming with me tonight. When you began staying with us, there were many other parties you attended at my request. And because of that, it seems a rumor's being spread that Dante Falzone has finally chosen a partner. So there's no telling else what will be said had I come here alone tonight. I let out a deep sigh. These high society gatherings seem to be a little more than a rumor mill. Seem to be a little more, sorry. I'm very sorry. Oh, that's me. I'm very sorry. It must be troublesome to hear rumors of yourself being the lover. Oh, that's me. No, never mind. That was Dante. Never mind. I'm very sorry. It must be troublesome to hear rumors of yourself being the lover of a mafia boss. You're like, I think we should make them true. I apologized with great sympathy for having put her in this situation. She only smiled. Oh no, I'm fine. No one's brought it up to me directly, and even if they did, I know you're always looking out for me, right, Dante? So I'm glad to be of help to you in any way. She's also over there like, no, I'm fine. No one said anything to me, and also like, maybe we should take it out of the rumor mill and make it real, baby. I couldn't take my eyes off Space's smile. If anything, I should be apologizing to you. I'm the reason people are gossiping about you in the first place. That's not something you should worry about. I actually wouldn't mind at all if the rumors were true. Oh, I know. I couldn't seem to say my thoughts aloud. I stopped midway through, as I always did. In the meantime, the orchestra had begun playing a waltz. I hesitated for a moment before offering my hand. Signorina, may I have this dance? Oh my god, are we gonna get a dancing CG? Space's eyes conveyed her nervousness. Don't worry, I'll lead. As you should. She answered my smile by taking my hand. We stepped out into the middle of the floor, and I held her in a closed position. Here we go. Oh god. Ah! I don't know if we're wearing the necklace because we can't see her face, but like, oh my god. It's so beautiful. I like how he's like, I've got my hair slicked back, but not really. It's still it's still slightly a mess. It's because you couldn't like give him a nice slicked back, perfectly coiffed hair because it's Dante and he has to have a little bit of the, you know. As we danced, our movements and breathing were in unison. Oh my god, but look at our hair accessory in the back of our dress. Like, the detail they put into her freaking dresses is what kills me. Like, I want these dresses. Like, goddamn Dante. And look at, oh, god, look at this little lapel pin. Ugh! Just in a suit. God damn it. I mean, he's always in a suit, but this is like a tuxedo. Oh, god. I could feel the tension in Space's hands as she held my hand and shoulder. Wanting to reassure her, I squeezed her hand firmly in mine. His hand is the size of our entire back, I'm just saying. So we are either very, very tiny or the man has monstrous hands. probably we are extremely tiny, okay? I'm just saying, like, someone's hand should not be able to basically be, like, wrapping almost entirely around your back. Girl! Her hands are so delicate. Everything about me is delicate, Jesus. I've held her hand a number of times before, but this almost felt like the first. Trying not to step on your feet. She spoke in a timid, apologetic voice, and I responded with a smile. You're fine. You dance very well, and I wouldn't mind it at all if you did. Step on them as much as you like. I did not know you had that kink, Dante. We just learned all sorts of shit about him. I couldn't. Let me just say that I'm very grateful you agreed to dance with me. And no one will talk to us if we keep dancing. I've grown tired of talking to politicians. I've been to every social function since early autumn for the sake of keeping them satisfied. I realized I did not turn the volume back up. Like, so you could hear, not that you could hear the background music anyway, but... Space relaxed a little, laughing in a way I thought was incredibly adorable. And? No, nothing. Tell me you love me, Dante. I can look at her into my heart's content for as long as we're dancing. I was glad to have her all to myself in this moment, however long or short it would be, even if I can never say so to her directly. Nevertheless, I could tell her one day. And someday, once we grew a little closer, I could surely tell her then. Oh, Dante! Come on, don't be a coward! Yang basically pinned us against a wall and was like, alright, let's go. And it worked. Gil mustered up the courage to tell us, and he was a little baby about it, too. And, like, I mean that in a good way. Like, he was like, I mean, kind of like you. And you're like, no, I like you too, Gil. And he's like, what? Okay. I mean, like, you fully expect he's going to have the charisma and charm to, like, still... Excuse me. Oh, right, because it goes on top. Best CG. Look at this shit! Okay, anyway, click back to you. Oh my god, I can't manage that. I'm sorry, but I love this one so much. I don't even know how to handle it. Like, this is goddamn ridiculously adorable. Someone's dog barking. Oh my god, look at him. So precious. He's like, shh, don't tell anyone. With his bludgy face. But this, God, he's beautiful. Again, there is a slight awkwardness to it, but he's still beautiful. I think it's the lighting. You know what I mean? Like, everything else is shadowed, but the lighting on his face almost takes away any you know what I mean? There's something usually about the shading that gives them definition to their face. And this is like, there is like absolutely no, like, just the way it's highlighted, it's something awkward about it. You know, you're like, it's like he's a puppet. Like a really beautiful puppet, but slightly puppet-like. But anyway, that was Dante's route. Like I said, we are going to... This was a long-ass part. I'm sorry, but I didn't want to break it up into two. Screw it. And we will do the other ending. I'm not really sure how long that's going to be. I also wouldn't anticipate. I have a feeling it's going to be shorter, though, because to be fair... We're going to be skipping everything. We're just going to be going different places. Like, we're going to be... Yeah, we are going to switch and go to the Lao Shu, and then go to the Visconti, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to go over here, and, like... So we might get a few little scenes, or we're just going to get an ending where we didn't get close to anyone, kind of. So that might be very, very short, so it'll make up for this being very, very long. Maybe not for you, if you're, like, watching that part, and it's, like, 10 minutes. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway... I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up. I was trying to make sure the screen didn't go dark, and I always forget that if I just tap my thing, it goes zooms in, and then it's like, hello, Dante! Anyway, remember to give the video a big thumbs up, and subscribe to see more!